So there. Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we're going to meditate first a few minutes. After that, Kusala is going to give a talk. So Reverend Vinita is going to lead the meditation. So let's do a few minutes meditation. Then after that, you can hear the Dhamma talk and question and answer.
Good morning to everyone. It's time to meditate short periods, loving kindness meditation. You can hear the Dhamma talk. Let's practice loving kindness meditation, few minutes. May I be well, happy, peaceful, and free from suffering. May no harm come to me. May no difficult come to me. No may problems comes to me. May I feel from suffering and fulfillingness. Thank you. Practice few minutes until the bell sound.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Honorable Vinita. Before start Dhamma talk, I'd like to say a few things. We're still doing the swimming program every Sunday. We are going to open again around the August. I'm planning to do August last week, which is Ulambana service, offering merit for our departure relatives. Is going to be August last Sunday. We are not confirmed still. Until that, we are going to do every Sunday through the Zoom, different teachers speaking. Today our speaker is Reverend Kusala, and next Sunday, which is the 13th of June, Chanting Bhikshu is going to give a Dhamma talk. 20th of the June, Subodha is going to give a Dhamma talk, and the 27th, which is last Sunday this month, I believe Chanting is going to give a Dhamma talk. So it's time to start Dhamma talk. I believe Kusala is ready right now. Kusala, you are there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. You can start with Dhamma talk. All right.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about leaving a retreat. So we've been in isolation and home confinement and all sorts of things that could be looked at as some kind of mandatory retreat. We've been taken off the streets, away from our businesses, our friends, our loved ones, and we've been isolated. And as June 15th looms closer, California will be open again. And all of us will be going out into the world to see what the hell happened. A lot of places closed, a lot of places open, a lot of people out of work, a lot of people working. But it's a different place than we left a year ago when we were told to stay home. So I don't know if you can hear the siren, but it reminds me of Los Angeles. And so what I want to talk about is how to go back into society, how to go back into the world. And the model I'm using is leaving a retreat. So what would a retreat leader or monastic or Dharma teacher tell the students who had been on a retreat? And I went online and found a few things that I think work well for just everybody going back into the world. So I'm going to be reading some of that and also giving some personal commentary. But we're going to start off with Peanuts and Charlie Brown. Who are all those people driving by in those cars, Charlie Brown? Those people are going to work. They used to wait for the school bus like we're doing right now. Now they have to go to work every day for the rest of their lives. Good grief, Charlie Brown. Whose idea was that? So we're going to be seeing a lot more activity in the world, and on Vermont Avenue, right out my window here, man, it's bumper to bumper. It's like it never happened, you know? And so how are we going to do it? How are we going to have the right mindset to deal with all this agitation, all these people that can't drive anymore, all these people that are completely lost and don't know where they're going or what they're going to do next? So Shinzen, a friend and teacher, used to say after retreat, you will either have afterburn or afterglow. It'll either be really good or really bad. And we don't know what's going to happen until we leave the retreat, until we leave our house, until we leave our apartment and go back into the streets of the city. Are we going to have afterglow or are we going to have afterburn? Okay, so now I've got five aspects of leaving the retreat that I'm going to talk about. And the first one goes like this. Number one spiritual teacher says, I often tell people to plant the seed for their life after the retreat while they're in retreat. Let the tools and the prayers get planted in you so the mindfulness can take over whether you're in a silent retreat or standing in line at Vaughn's supermarket. Once you have the means to be guided from the inside out, you can have the presence and quiet anywhere. So the idea in this is, before we go back to work, before we go out and have a full life again, let's think about what we're leaving behind. Let's think about what we've learned. Let's see if we can plant some seeds to give us a bit more stability and insight and awareness once we're back in the street. And you know, standing in line at Vaughn's supermarket, I like to use as an example because it's just the perfect place to practice. You have people that don't know how they're going to pay. You have people looking at the receipt to see if they paid too much. You have people who forgot something and have to go back out of line and get something and bring it back in. And all the while, you're ready to go. And you can't. So this is a perfect time to watch your breath. Watch it go in, watch it go out, watch it go in, watch it go out. All the mind states that arise, impatience, anger, watching them arise and not having to act on them, not having to verbalize them. I find if one is angry, it's best not to say anything. And oftentimes in line, anger can arise. And so simply using that few moments as a mini retreat, as a little meditation space, a way to get back into your head, to get back inside and not let the outside direct you quite as much as it used to. So that's number one. Number two, this one I really like. You are not the same person you were at the beginning of the treat. So don't try to be one. Don't try to be that guy or gal that started the retreat, because after the retreat, somebody else has taken your place. Another spiritual teacher says, I like to tell people, when you go on retreat, you don't ever come back. When you go on retreat, you never come back. I don't mean not physically come back from the retreat. You physically come back, of course, but you may find something during the retreat, whether it was truth, peace, freedom, love. If you maintain the same focus in your everyday life and keep it in front of you, your consciousness will transform completely. So here we are, and we've made our preparation to go on retreat, in some cases going into isolation. And somebody told us a month, somebody told us 2 months, somebody told us maybe 6 months. Over a year later, we're getting ready to go out again and look around. And that person that started is not the same person that's going to come out. Every day we are born into somebody else. Every day we're not the same person we were yesterday, and we're not going to be the same person that will happen tomorrow. So how can we figure out the present moment? Where are we now? I find, again, breathing meditation is perfect because it allows us to use that as our reference point. That's our anchor. You know, the breath occurs all the time, whether we want it to or not. And it continues to change, sometimes deep breaths, sometimes bated breaths, sometimes short, breaths. And so is it the same person breathing each breath? Well, no. Is it a different person breathing each breath? No, it's not different either. It's different and the same at the same time. So this is like this ultimate reality of, okay, I got to be somebody. Who do I choose to be? And because we can't be who we used to be, and we don't know how we're going to be, what we need to choose is something that's skillful right now in this present moment. Kindness, politeness, those aspects of our personality are so useful at times like this that we don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable, because everybody feels uncomfortable, because nobody knows what's going to happen next. And so as we go out into the world, we need to really stay focused on being here now. Yesterday, I was watching a golf tournament, and the leader, 6 shots ahead, was pulled over by the officials. And they said to him, the test you took in the morning to see if you had COVID came back positive. You can no longer be in the tournament. And I went, man, what? The guy had his vaccination. The guy was outside with all the other golfers. It didn't seem to me that could ever be the case again. But according to the golf tournament, it sure can. So as we venture out into the world, we need to be cautious. We don't need to be overly cautious, but just cautious, and be aware that maybe we could get COVID again, even if we're vaccinated. And if we're vaccinated, they say it's not going to be as bad, and the symptoms won't be as bad, and it'll leave sooner, and there'll be less, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to find out if that's true or not. But here we go on June 15th, back into the world, and I think we need to be cautious about what we're going to do. And more importantly, how we're going to do it. And last but not least, who we're going to be. Who are we going to be? Number 3, another mindfulness teacher said, the reintegration process can be challenging and somewhat confusing. I try to make sure people are grounded in their senses before they drive off, so they don't become dangerous on the road. When you walk out of the meditation hall for the last time, pace yourself. Stop and look at the sky. Smell the air, or touch a tree as you walk by. So when you leave your compound, whatever that might be, and go back into the world, take a deep breath, touch a tree, look at the sky. Be aware of the birds and the chipmunks and the squirrels. Get back into, this is my life on earth. I got to take a couple breaths because I'm going to be distracted now, unlike I was for the last year. There's going to be so much stuff going on. We got the Lakers, we got the Dodgers, we got the Angels. Just to say a few things that can distract us. We've got binge watching, we've got TV, we've got news, we've got politics, we've got environmental issues. Man, there's so much stuff that's going to catch our attention now. And we're going to sort of leave this space that we've created for ourselves over the last year. And now we're going to have to go out and keep our balance. And sometimes the best way to keep your balance is to touch a tree, or to look at the sky, or smell a flower. We need to stay focused. We can't be consumed by all the sense door information that's going to hit us and punch us. We've got to be aware that the inside now needs to be more important than the outside until we regain our balance. Okay, number 4. When you shift out of retreat and back into your life, you will likely default into some habits and patterns that weren't necessarily skillful. Another teacher says, life on retreat is very simple for the most part. So I understand after retreat, when life gets complicated, it's easier to fall back into conditioned patterns. This is another opportunity, though, for us to be awake and mindful. When you see places in your life where you may previously have been on autopilot, it's a chance to bring awareness to those moments. In this way, you can use your transition to learn more about your patterns, bring kindness and compassion to yourself, and possibly make changes in areas of your life you'd like to see changed. So this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to look back and see what we've discovered in ourselves. What kind of patterns did we notice? What kind of reactions seem to be our autopilot way of reacting to the world? And could we change our reaction into response? Could we be more aware of how we're responding to the world around us? And when we get into those habit patterns that don't necessarily benefit us or others, can we change them or simply not use them in the way we used to? And I think we can, especially if we're meditators and have been meditating for a while and have seen the thinking that goes on in our head all the time, and pick up on the fact that I don't have to be the thoughts. I've got that option now because I meditate and I see the thoughts just happen, and I can choose to be those thoughts or to let the thoughts go. I've got a choice in the matter. And in that case, if that choice is real, if we take advantage of it, those patterns and those habits that we've acquired over the years that we've been alive don't need to drive us in a certain way. They don't need to be our master. We can break the chains. We can be free again to choose one or the other. So, can we do it? Can we be that skillful and that aware? Well, maybe some of the days we can, maybe other days we can't, but that's when the compassion and kindness comes in to forgive ourselves when we screw up again, or simply go back to the old ways because they're more comfortable and it doesn't take as much thought. Number 5, while this isn't always possible, it's ideal if you can give yourself some time to slowly reintegrate. The world can seem very loud and fast after a retreat. There are so many stimuli now, and the rapid pace of life can make you feel like you need to get on board really quickly. The first few days can be disorienting. When you go back to work, try to minimize the number of meetings, and if you can avoid scheduling a lot of social activities for a week or so, that would be good. So these people who have worked from home now for the past year and a half are going to have to go back into an office sooner or later, perhaps. And that's going to take you out of balance because you've created a balance at home. Now you have to create the balance again at work. And maybe we should do it according to what this teacher says, in a slow and mindful way. You know, be aware of all the meetings that are scheduled and put yourself in the right mindset to go in, be aware of the meeting and then let it go as much as you can or need to after the meeting and prepare for the next one. And the social events. I see the bars are opening again and the restaurants are opening again. And if you've been vaccinated, you can go to the baseball game and sit with 1,000 other people. And that's going to be really fun for a lot of people because we're all social animals and we like to hang out with people and we like to share experiences and we like to talk. And the stories are always good after a long absence. But again, this is a way to lose our balance again. And we need to be so cautious as we go back into the world to not lose that balance, to not get caught up, to not feel fear or isolation again. We need to feel confident that we can make it through the day in a skillful way that doesn't increase suffering for anybody, including ourselves. And that happens because of awareness. It doesn't happen necessarily because of habit patterns, as we saw in the earlier paragraph. Those habit patterns can be useful, like brushing your teeth. It's not necessary to think about every brush movement as you brush your teeth. It's a habit pattern. But there are times driving your car when those habit patterns may or may not be as skillful as they could be. And I tell you, I've seen the people are not driving well out there. It's so weird. It's like this is their first day after class. And I think this past year I've driven maybe 1,000, 2,000 miles. That's it, and I'm going, wow. So every time I sit in my car, I take a few moments to sort of feel the steering wheel and where are the pedals and how are the windows clear and do I need to wash them and that kind of, I just get into that moment of driving. And then I slowly, creep out into the street, and I look left and I look right and I sort of ease into traffic and I sort of get into the flow and I have this sort of awareness thing going and it comes back, but I prepare myself for it to come back. And when I rode a motorcycle, I do that every time. I just sit on the motorcycle and feel the bike beneath me and feel the pedals and the clutch and the brake and just so it brought me back to that place of riding a motorcycle. And when I get into my car, it brings me back into that place of driving a car. And some of it is habit, and a lot of it is just simple awareness of what I need to do next to avoid being in an accident. And that's the stuff we're going to be practicing for a while as we go back into the world and say, okay, how do I be me? How do I do all the things I used to do? Where do I go if my favorite restaurant or store is closed? I have to find new ones, new stores and new restaurants. And so we're going to be doing a lot of re-education in our going out back into the world. We're going to have to find our place. I posted a meme yesterday on Facebook of a dog lying in a streak of light, sun coming through the window. And Carlos Castaneda, in the Teachings of Don Juan, talked about finding your place. You've got to find your place. And so he asked, well, how do I find my place? Well, you want to find a place that's comfortable and allows you to be aware. Okay. And so that's the place we have to find. We need that awareness and that comfort. And once we find that place, we can maneuver through the world in a skillful way. Now, one last thing. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditation, I probably read it in high school, but I don't remember reading it in high school. And I just found it online again. And I go, damn, this guy was good. This guy knew some stuff. And he started writing his meditations in his 60s. So he was an old guy as he sat down and started reflecting on his life and his thoughts about life and how he saw certain things. So I've been reading it and I'm going, wow, he could have been a little bit Buddhist as well. Not that he knew what Buddhism was. But Marcus Aurelius said, concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. Yes, you can. If you do everything as if it were the last thing you were doing in your life. Stop being aimless. Stop letting your emotions override your mind. Stop being hypocritical, self-centered, irritable. You will see how few things you have to do to live in a satisfying and reverent way. Now, I read that and I'm going, man, this guy's into mindfulness. Just pay attention to what's in front of you. What are you going to be doing? And I love how he starts, do it like a Roman, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of ancient Rome, and I'm just thinking, man, those Romans, they just built stuff all over the place. Tall things. They spent decades building stuff, And so this gives us a chance in a small way to build ourselves with mindfulness, with awareness. Invest yourself. Do it like it's the last thing you're ever going to do. And that kind of mindfulness that comes out of that attitude will carry you along in a very good way. Okay, that's how to come out of a retreat. That's how to go back into the world. And you know, Governor Newsom now is polling names. 15 of us who have been vaccinated will win $50,000. So that's 15 out of 11 million, I guess. And, you know, somebody's going to get some money. But all there's incentives now. We want everybody to get vaccinated, you know. And I love when we finally get into money. We're going to pay you to get vaccinated. We're going to give you $50,000. I say, well, so we'll see. I'm still waiting for my phone call and to see if I win my 50,000. Okay, having said all of that, does anybody have any comments or suggestions on how to get back into the world in a skillful and useful way? Selvin, how about you? I see you there.
Good morning, Kusala.
Good morning.
Thank you
Good
so
to see
much.
you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for the talk. So you mentioned two things at the very beginning: afterglow or afterburn.
Yes.
Coming out of retreat.
Yes.
So I guess I could say, like, I'm not that I have it or I have had it, but I can deal with the afterglow. But what does the afterburn feels like, and how to deal with that?
Yeah, well, we can all deal with the afterglow. We all like that part, you know. Now, the afterburn is when we start being super critical with ourselves. You know, we've had some time now to be with ourselves, maybe a weekend retreat or a week-long retreat, and we've sat with our thoughts for hours and hours and hours. We've tried to avoid looking at people, no eye contact, no speaking. We just wanted to get inside and see what was there. Now, the afterburn sometimes happens when you really get disappointed with what's there. You know, I mean, you found out some real critical parts of your being, if you will, and you see that they need work. You see that you could be a little kinder, you could be a little bit more aware, you could be a little more sensitive. And when you went into that retreat, you realized you weren't any of those things. So you come out and you're sort of like burning, you know, man, this is really a bummer. I thought I was much further along the path than I am. How can I ever do it? I only have a few years to go. How can I be a better person? You know, so this afterburn thing is just a killer. But basically what you're doing is you're just listening too much to what you're thinking about. You're listening to all the negative and none of the positive. Nothing stands alone. Everything is connected. So you've got the glow and the burn actually happening at the same time, but what you're noticing is the burn and not the glow. So where's the middle? Where can I have a little burn and a little glow and it can balance each other? And I won't hate myself because I'm not the person I thought I was, because this retreat showed me that I wasn't and probably never will be. How can you get past all that stuff? And I can remember on my first couple retreats that it was so difficult, not necessarily psychological, because I'm an overly simplistic person, so I didn't really go too far into my psychology. But physically, I thought I was going to die. My legs hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurt. I'm thinking, what the is wrong with me? Why am I here? Why am I putting myself through all this torture and agony? There must be an easier way to be a better person than to go through all this crap. Well, ultimately, it's, you know, I was able to sort of, rather than tough it out in sort of a stoic kind of way, I was able just to go, yeah, here comes again, you know, those damn knees, they keep hurting, but, you know, it won't kill me. I'm able to walk afterwards. Okay. And what is this pain? It's sensation. It's a really strong sensation. And I'm interpreting it as being pain and terrible. And I also see that if there's enough pain there, I will die. So how can I get rid of the pain? Well, you can move your legs, but you can also come to a place of acceptance with the sensation and just simply sit there. So as we go through the afterburn effects of our meditation or going back into the world and realizing that the person who was just wonderful and so sincere and so wise and so aware that went into the retreat, that went into the pandemic isolation is now coming out a complete idiot. So how do you love yourself? How do you pat yourself on the back and say, hey, man, I made it through that day, you know, and nothing really terrible happened. Okay, so I'm ready for tomorrow. And you go through tomorrow. And then you go to In-N-Out Burger and they forget the fries. You wanted those fries. They didn't put it in the bag. Are you going to yell? No. You're going to say to yourself, maybe I didn't need the fries. Maybe it's a sign. And so there you go. So each day we sort of deal with the afterburn and we sort of come to a place of acceptance, and then there's no burn. And then we have the afterglow and we work with that and we come to a place of acceptance, and then there's no glow. And then we find ourselves in the middle, which is the best place we can be. And it's the most realistic place we can be, because the glow and the burn is temporary, you know, and we want to find something that's more than temporary. And so that's in the middle, that's in between. And Siddhartha called it nirvana. That's the place, okay. But we could also call it, you know, enlightenment, seeing how all things are interconnected and interdependent, and that one is not better than the other or worse than the other. It's just, there they are. And our job as meditators is to work with them, to use all the skill and technique that we've learned and acquired through our meditation practice, to apply it to our life. Not just to have it on page 34, but to actually have it as part of our life. And then it will make the biggest difference you've ever had. Selvin, are you ready? Are you ready to go out there?
Thank you. Yes, I think I am.
I think good. Thanks for the question.
Thank you. Yes.
Lauren, you can ask your question.
I've got a question. Kusala, it's interesting that you cite Carlos Castaneda's. I've read some of the works there. And I remember Don Juan advised him when he goes into a room to find your position of power and to sit there. I guess it's to figure out where energy flows to, the chi flows to, and not from. And I was wondering, when you're talking about positioning and what you were taking on that, is that part of your concern, to find the right place to be, the energy flows to you, and how do you navigate that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Steve, but it's not any concern of mine at all. I never thought about energy flow. I've never thought about finding the right spot. I find myself usually in the wrong spot.
Yeah, all right.
And there I am, you know. And so how do I work with that? What do I need to do? The reason I brought it up in my Facebook post was because there was a dog sitting in a beam of light, lying in a beam of light. And it was just a perfect example of finding your spot, finding the place of power, but also finding the place of comfort, you know, and so that's why I brought it up. You know, can we be comfortable in any spot we find ourselves in? And I think our meditation practice says to us, yes, you can, right. but it's up to you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Lauren. Is that Lauren?
Yes, Bente, thank you for your talk today. It was very timely for me because I'm not coming back into the world because I never left. I'm an essential worker, so I've been putting on my scrubs and been in it this entire time. And the talk was still equally timely for me, though, because it's a good reminder that as other people are coming back into the world and I never left, I have to be that much more balanced and that much more grounded so I could be of service to other people, because they're going to need the help, you know? And just because I've been going through everything I've been going through this whole time, that doesn't mean that I can just kind of, you know, like hang up my scrubs and say, okay, everybody else is coming back into the world, so now I can just stop being mindful and, you know, stop, you know, choosing who I want to be. Like, it's all the more important to be on now and to be prepared and to be, you know, really like doubling down on giving myself that good time to, you know, get in my 40-minute meditation every morning before I leave for work. Like, it's not a time to rest on my laurels at all, you know? So, and just, I really just love so much what you said again about like choosing who you want to be, because I could choose to give in to the stress. I could choose to call out, but I choose not to. Like, I choose to come in, and rather than getting fired up or giving into the parts of myself that maybe aren't so wise, like, I can choose to do the things that are wise, because it doesn't just help other people. Like, I need that for me too, because my mindfulness is important as well, same as everyone's is. And I can't give what I don't have, So I just wanted to thank you for your very timely talk today. And I hope you get your $50,000.
Thank you. And I think one of the points, Lauren, that you brought up, which is like the most important thing you can do, is being accepting of whatever comes in front of you and not expecting it to be any different than it is. And I'm always disappointed when I expect things to be different than they are, because rarely are they. It's so when you have all these people coming in and they all have these high expectations, now the world is wonderful again and we can all do what we want to do, and yet they're all depressed as hell because they can't do everything they want to do. That's when that acceptance comes in, and even if you don't say anything, simply listening to them makes a big difference. Because they feel that somebody hears their cries, hears their suffering, hears their dis-ease about the world, and that can make such a big difference. Thank you. Kushanti, how about you? Anything you'd like to share?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for your advice about driving. Yeah, I've put in about 1,000 miles in the past year. I think the longest trip I've made is 20 miles. And tomorrow I have to drive 120 miles.
Oh.
I will use your instructions before I start that adventure.
Yes.
Oh, and one other thing. We used to do 3-day retreats here. And I remember after the first, we finished and I thought, well, we'll just head home. But Reverend Shanti kept us after the end of the retreat and talked to us for about 20 minutes. Because it's like Alan Watts, don't forget your zip code. I remember starting to drive home, and thank God it was a back street, because I saw the stop sign and I said, oh, that's and realized, oh, I have to stop. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And when you get into your car to drive 120 miles, think of yourself as an airplane pilot. Go around your car, check to see if all the tires are inflated, if there's any, and then get in and look at your controls, and then say, okay, 120 miles, and sort of visualize like an athlete how it's going to work, how it's going to be, even though it won't work that way, but you're visualizing. And at the end of your visualization is the success of achieving the goal of being there. And then you go, I can do this. 120 miles. It's after not driving for a year, it's a long way.
Yeah.
And we don't know how it's going to work out. Will there be a lot of traffic or no traffic? Or all the gas stations open or not open? Will the gas be $5 a gallon? Probably. And, so we just go along and say, okay, this is what I expect. Now I'm going to see what really happens, And that awareness there is what's going to help you get to your destination.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Shraddha.
Thanks.
No, your sound is off, Shraddha.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to say thank you for such a wise talk, an important wise talk today.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much. I thought it would be useful, seeing as all of us, or most of us, will be back into the world before you know it.
Right.
And it's going to be a much different place than we left.
And some of Reverend Karuna's words came through, because she always said, never leave a retreat quickly. Never.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you need to decompress.
Yes.
There's a certain time to reorient yourself to the world. And I love the idea of going up and touching a tree.
Yeah.
You know, that's so grounded, and the roots go so far into the earth, and you're sort of touching that as a reference point of being grounded. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Kusala. Thank you for everybody. It's almost 12 o'clock. We're going to chant the page 4 and page 10. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sentient beings are numberless. Presence are inexhaustible. Dharma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the living set all grief, and the sick find help relief. Be excellent to everyone, that we together with all beings may gain Buddha's way. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for we have two guests today. Jeannie and her husband came. Hideki, yes, Jeannie and Hideki here. They came here also. It's nice to see you again. And thank you again for everybody. So by the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, by the power of all the merit we did here, we can give the Dhamma talk, meditation, chanting, that's all good deed. And we wish for sharing with this all the merit, and we hope to see you guys in future. And meanwhile, we wish all the best, good health. Still, you have to take care, because whatever say the pandemics, we don't know. We have to carefully still. So we're not going to open temple until the August 1 day. We're going to open last Sunday of the August, just for the one program. After that, we will decide. Meanwhile, we do every Sunday through the Zoom. Again, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.